Well, hello there. Happy 4th of July. Here we are back at the Blue Heinz Garage. Only today, we're not working on the Blue Heinz. The Blue Heinz has been relocated. I'll see if I can stay away from this noise so you can hear me. Anyway, the Blue Heinz has been relocated over to Scott's house so we could take advantage of the equipment here. On this other project, Scott's car body. The quarter's been replaced on this one. The passenger side, we started getting educated. It's been sandblasted, epoxy primed, is where you see it now. The chassis, as I say, the frame was all disassembled from all the original parts. The motor now is in the Blue Heinz that was built for this car. It's in the Blue Heinz. This now is going to get an LS motor because along the way Scott's changed his mind what he wants to do with this car. It's going to get an LS motor, which you see there's a motor in it. There's an LS motor in it now. That's simply for mock-up. That's, you know, a core motor that was bought just for mock-up. He got a whole bunch of that Art Morrison stuff. Did the triangulated 4-link on the rear end. He narrowed rear end for it. I don't remember the vendor. It's not Curry. It's somebody else. I don't recall who it is. So we're at a place now where we're using the equipment here to put the body on the chassis. All the body mounts have been replaced. They're all new. We made an elaborate fixture out of Unistrut to locate all the new body mounts. He made this fixture that attached to all the old body mounts before he cut them off. And then I think took them off one at a time with the fixture attached to the whole neck and put the new ones on one at a time as well. So a number of things were happening here. We're testing the location of the motor on the chassis. We're testing the location of the body mounts on the chassis. And we're getting ready to do wheel tubs because with the narrow rear end, he's going to put a 12-inch tire under this thing. With the narrow rear end and the 12-inch tire, the existing body mounts are not going to work. So here we are. This is we started here during the week. I drilled the spot wells out on the spare tire well. He's working right now on cleaning up the metalwork. You know, you drill, even though you don't drill through on the spot weld remover thing, it leaves these little dimples where the pilot drill is starting to poke through. We did a bunch of filling on top of that panel yesterday. He's doing and he filled those little dimples that were in the bottom piece of metal, the metal that remained, the trunk floor metal. And so now the little weld leaves some dimples on the bottom. He's taking care of all of that right now. There's the chassis. These wheels he bought because they were inexpensive and they are the size, the diameter that he's going to use. These aren't the permanent wheels. You can see he's done a ton of work here on that. He's done a ton of work here on the chassis. You notice with that area there around the control arms, that doesn't look like that from the factory. That doesn't look like that from the factory. You notice there's a bunch of massaging been done there. And he's got tubular control arms, Willwood brakes. You saw this when it was in his garage and we were fabricating these. These are actuators for an electric e-brake. There's the differential and the parallel 4-link. We were working, this was under the car yesterday while we were working on the spare tire well. We didn't want the sparks and stuff to damage the coilovers. And here are the You can see the body's up on the lift, and see if I can show you what's going on over here. You see the spare tire well's been taken out, and he's working on the bottom area here. Looks like he's got one side partly done. Coming up this side. So we're straightening things out. There's little dings and dents in the floor, and you know, bumps and whatever else. Like I say, the spare tire well is gone. The hardware to hold the jack is gone, and you know, we've got to patch some holes and stuff on that. You see, we already started taking some tabs and stuff off here. The snubber has been removed. Sorry if I'm going too fast here. Snubber has been removed because that's probably in the way of the linkage, the cross member for the coilovers. Anyway, here we go. We're starting. In order to do the, see if I can get out of here without running my head into the lift. In order to set the body down on the chassis, the wheels are going to have to go away because the existing tubs are going to hit the wheels. So what we're going to do is, you see we got the wheel dollies there. What we're going to do is put some pieces of plywood on top of those, and these little jack stands will go under the rear end, support the rear end, so we can remove the tires. Set the body down. We're going to remove the motor and transmission, remove the rear wheels, put the jack stands under the back so we can set the body on the frame, and then prove the location of the motor and see exactly what we have to work with the new wheel tubs. The wheel tubs are in that box over there with the spare tire well on top. So anyway, here we go. Bye. Okay, well, it's still July 4th. We're done for the day. It is 4:45. So this is where we finished up today. You can see what happened here. Got rid of the back wheels in favor of doing this. Scott had these little jack stands that he doesn't use, but they work perfect for this. So you can see I got one on each side. You can't see that side too well. Hang on a second. See, that's where we're at with this. We've got the jack stands tie wired to the dolly and also tie wired to the rear axle housing. So they aren't going anywhere. And the metal work that Scott was doing ended up here. Finished getting that flanged area all done. The area around it that you see that's got the weld-through primer on it had a bunch of dimples and dings and what have you in it. Some stuff for the mounting the jack on the original build of the car, you know, the factory build of the car. And then back here behind the panel, there was a bunch of dings and dents and a couple more holes from that other stuff that was used to be there. All that got filled in, body worked. See, it's all nice and smooth. So it's ready to get welded in. The next time he comes, I'm sure he'll use all these holes to plug weld this in and then finish that, metal finish that too. So that's kind of where we left off today. A little at a time, doing all this stuff, moving stuff around, and you know, next thing we're going to do, probably what I'll do during the week while Scott's at work, he wants to pull the motor because he put the motor in with the body in one place and the chassis at another place, based on some kind of guidelines or whatever that came with the motor mounts. Nothing is there permanent. The motor mounts are tacked onto the frame only. The transmission mount also tacked into the frame only. So we're going to do, now that we've got the tires out of the way so that we can set the body down, the tubs, the original tubs won't hit the tires because the tires are gone. That was the whole idea of putting the chassis on, the jack stands in the back. So now we can set the body down on the frame. Like I say, improve the new mounts. You see all these mounts here, they're all replacement. And like I said, he made this elaborate fixture with some strut to locate everything and then put the new mounts in based on where the old ones were. So I would improve those. Those also are just tacked. So I get the motor out during the week, then we can put the chassis under the body and set the body back down on it and see where the any new fabrication going to conflict with the body, like what did I say earlier? I said parallel 4-link. It's triangulated 4-link. So like I said, there's that cross member at the top that helps to support the coilovers. That might get in the way of some of the body metal behind the seat, or that kind of stuff. We'll find out as soon as we can lower it. But in the meantime, like I said, hopefully this week I can get the motor out and set it down on he's got a cart for it, one of those roll around carts. See this thing right here? And we'll I'll leave the transmission attached to it. I'll put a furniture dolly under that in the back, block it up so that it's level. And we can roll it around as a unit. Anyway, that's all for today. Talk to you later. Please like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Like to hear what you think. See you later. Bye. Good morning, and welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. Well, as you can see, Time Machine is still here. We've been working on it, on and off, not too steady. And this is where we're at so far. Yesterday, we dropped the body down onto the chassis. Scott temporarily, there was one conflict besides the tires. The tires are off the car temporarily. There was one conflict, and that was right there. So temporarily we just cut a hole there to allow the body to go down. That'll have to get that panel, we'll have to make, modify that floor panel so that it clears the shock. What we were doing when we last saw you was putting this cover on the spare tire well. You saw we removed the well, doctored the area, the flange that the well attaches to. And we've got this panel all installed. I'll show you the bottom in a moment. So, and then we've been doing body work. You see, we've been, there was all kinds of dings and dents and holes everywhere in this floor. There's no rot. We're quite lucky. There's, of the entire car, 100% of the entire car, there's probably 2% the bottom side of these wheel tubs. I think at the front has a little tiny bit of rot, and that's it, no more. Anyway, so we've been doing metal work. We've kind of worked our way up to like the back seat, the front of the back seat, starting making plugs, drilling out seat belt holes that look like they were made with an ice pick and a punch and whatever else. They're all dimpled and not round, so we're cleaning all of that up. We're using a unibit to round up those holes and then making patches for them. So we've started that. I'm doing that while Scott's working on the panel over the wheel well, the spare tire well, whatever. We're kind of trying to work together. You can see stuff in here. So we've gotten, like I said, up to this seat riser, this back seat riser here. more to go. Obviously, got this whole front section. Like I said, there's dimples and dents and stuff everywhere that we're trying to just clean up and make it look, smooth. But at any rate, like I said, we got the body down on the chassis yesterday. I'll show you. I'm going to lift this back up and I'll show you. There's a couple of mounts, body mounts, because the body mounts have been replaced with new ones. And Scott made an elaborate fixture to do that out of strut. Had some pieces machined that would fit in where the into the body mounts, where the biscuits go. He had some pieces machined to do that, and made this fixture out of strut that he could bolt rods with this little machined piece to locate the body mount. And like I said, I had the thing all clamped to the frame so that everything was positioned mechanically with this strut system. And so like I said, there's two little mounts so far that need to get moved a quarter of an inch. So, and right now they're only just tacked on. So that's kind of where we're at temporarily. Hang on, I'll raise the car and show you. Yesterday, like I say, we dropped the body down on the chassis and checked to see how many of the body mounts were going to line up with the holes in the body. And in order to, most of them did, but we weren't sure if the body was on there where it's supposed to be or whatever. So what we did is use the laser level again and drop some lines down off of the chassis and off of the body to kind of develop a center line of each. So we snapped blue lines for, don't recall, for the body, I think, and red line for the chassis center line. We snapped two lines, a blue line for the body center line and a red line for the chassis center line. And you can see here, you got kind of a purple line because they came out kind of right over each other. We tried to, with measurements, we tried to get it centered, and then we proved it this way, and appears to be very, very close. But anyway, this is what it looks like underneath. So what we found is this mount, and I believe it was this mount on the other side. There was two of them that needed to, might have been this one, that need to move. I don't recall which ones. For sure this one. I know for sure this one. I don't remember which one the other one was. And even this one, the bolt will go in there. It's just not centered very well. It's right on the edge of the it's a little difficult to get the thread started because it's right on the edge of the hole in the floor. And this one's got a nut on the top, I think, that's welded into that brace. So, yeah, there isn't hard, there isn't a big area where you got for a bolt to go. It's got to line up pretty well. So anyway, like I said, that one has no bolt in it. You see, this one has no bolt in it. So I don't recall, out of these four right here in the middle, two of them have to move. They got to move like a quarter of an inch. One's got to go in, I think, towards the chassis. One's got to go away from the chassis, as I recall. Anyway, that's where we're at with this. So you can see how this looks underneath. So you got a magnet there because there's a plug on top of that for a hole in the floor. And here's how the bottom of that panel turned out. So this still needs a little work. Right, he's done with the top. He's not done with the bottom. But you can see the metal. The metal is pretty tight. We've got, so the seam sealer is hardly going to be needed. But like we said, we got the metal to all fit nice and flat against each other, the two pieces. Anyway. Okay, see these three shiny holes here? This one, and that one. Those are some reinforcing rods. Therefore, some reinforcing rods that go in to the dash area, and they support this pedal assembly at the dashboard end. So what we're doing here, you see the blue line there? We're making an attachment that will go on the inside of the firewall, right there on that spot, and on that shiny spot is the third one, so that the holes in the firewall will get plugged. There's the rods. That's the one that goes on the right, all by itself. Okay, so I screwed up shooting this yesterday. I don't know, I got all screwed up with turning the camera on and turning the camera off and whatever else, didn't get it right. So anyway, this is how those rods support the pedal assembly from the firewall back towards the dashboard end. And this is what I was talking about. This is the attachments we're making. See, I'm going to get this to show you. See the two attachments up here on the right? There's a plate, a 3/8 thick plate welded to the inside of the firewall. That's drilled and tapped. And then on the end of those rods, the rods have little, again, no, those are like 1/4 inch thick tabs welded to the end of the rods. The tabs have holes drilled in them. The rods go in the holes. And then the rods are welded around the perimeter of the rod, you know, where it exits the holes in the little tabs. So there's that attachment there for the two rods coming back to the pedal assembly. And then there's one more attachment there on that side for the other side of the wishbone. You see, one of the little rods is shaped like a wishbone, one piece, and then the third rod that comes back, reinforcing rod that comes back, is an individual. So that's what we're doing right now. The attachment plates are welded on the outside. They're not finished welded, but they are attached. The rods still need to be welded to the tabs. At this point, they're just, the ends of the rods are poked in the holes that are in the tabs. They have to be tacked in place here. The rods have to be tacked in place to the little tabs and then removed and finish welded and then put back. So that's what we're doing. And like I said, this whole process, this is a day's worth of work building this little setup here. This whole process is intended to simply plug the holes and the nuts and the rod ends hanging out of the firewall, make the firewall look cleaner. That's all this is intended to do. It's another example of street rod excess. All right, later. And here's what it looks like when it's all done. I mean, obviously it's going to get even smoother than that when it gets painted. He's got one of the last wells he ran out of argon, and he said he's got to grind that out because it's all full of porosity because of the lack of the argon. But that's about what it looks like when it's done. No more holes, no more rods and bolts sticking through the firewall. So there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry about all the noise up in the first part of the video, the background noise. Didn't realize that was going to be that annoying when I filmed it, and that was 2 months ago now. No, a month ago. Almost 2. Anyway, thanks for watching. Always appreciate comments when you see this. Tell us what you think. Like would be nice if you're so inclined. Anyway, again, thanks for watching. Bye.